Every goalkeeper on earth is making the same mistake. They know they're making it, their coaches know they're making it, sports scientists have known for over 20 years, and still, at the biggest games on the planet, they keep doing it. You've probably watched it happen 100 times without realizing. A World Cup penalty shootout. The stakes are impossibly high, the striker steps up, the goalkeeper crouches, and the moment the ball is struck, the keeper does what every goalkeeper you've ever seen does. He dives. Left or right. Full extension, a beautiful athletic leap through the air. It looks correct, it feels correct, it's what a goalkeeper is supposed to do. And it is, statistically, the worst decision he could possibly make. Because here is a number that will not make sense to you at first. Goalkeepers who dive to a side stop somewhere between 12 and 14% of penalties. Goalkeepers who don't dive, who simply stand there in the middle of the goal and refuse to move, stop 33%, not 13, 33, almost triple. Standing still is by a huge margin the best thing a goalkeeper can do on a penalty kick. And now here is the number that turns this from strange into completely absurd. Only about 2% of goalkeepers actually do it, almost none of them. 98 out of every 100 keepers at the highest levels of world football are choosing the option that works less than half as well. This is one of the most irrational patterns in all of sport, and once you understand why it happens, you'll never watch a penalty the same way again. Because it isn't a football problem, it's a human problem, and every goalkeeper walking up to that penalty spot is trapped inside it. Let me show you the trap. Let's start with the raw physics of the situation because it explains why keepers feel like they have to dive. A penalty kick is taken from 12 yards. When a professional strikes it, the ball reaches the goal in under half a second, around 400 milliseconds. That is faster than you can blink. But the goalkeeper takes 0.6 of a second at minimum just to move from a standing position and reach the side of the goal. 200 milliseconds of reaction time, plus about 700 milliseconds of actual diving. That's a full 900 milliseconds, nearly a full second. Do the math. If a keeper waits to see where the ball is going and then tries to dive to it, he's roughly half a second too late. He literally cannot react in time. The ball is in the net before his body has finished moving, so goalkeepers do the only thing that could possibly work. They guess. They pick a side before the ball is even struck and commit. They don't wait for information. There isn't time for information. And this is where the mistake begins. Because guessing left or right feels like the only option, but it isn't. There is a third option, and the numbers show it's the best one, because look at what a shooter actually does. Facing a keeper who's about to guess, the shooter has an incentive to aim wide, to the corners, past the diving keeper, and they do. The vast majority of penalties are aimed toward the two sides of the goal, left or right, away from the center, which means the middle of the goal is statistically the emptiest place. If a keeper picks a side, he catches maybe 1 in 8 of those wide shots. But if he stays in the middle, he catches almost every shot aimed at the middle, and he blocks a decent fraction of the wide ones with his outstretched arms and legs simply because he's still standing there in the way. Standing still doesn't mean doing nothing. It means being in the exact spot the shooter is most incentivized to avoid, at the exact moment they have to decide. The math is clean, the evidence is clean, standing still is the right answer. So why does virtually nobody do it? And here is where football stops being about football and starts being about a very old, very deep human wiring. Because the reason keepers dive isn't tactical, it's emotional. Try to imagine what a keeper actually experiences. He's alone, 80,000 people watching. 100 million more at home, a World Cup on the line, a striker steps up. Now imagine two possible futures. In future one, he dives to his left, the ball goes to his right into the net, the crowd groans, but he tried. He hurled his body across the goal. Everyone saw the effort. He looks like a hero who was just unlucky. In future 2, he stands still, arms at his sides, the ball goes to his left, past him, into the net. He didn't move, he didn't try. On television, on replay, forever, it looks like he gave up, like he didn't care. Like he cost his country the World Cup because he couldn't be bothered to jump. Both goals count exactly the same, 1 goal, 1-0, but the two futures are not the same in his head or in ours. Diving and failing feels acceptable. Standing still and failing feels shameful. Psychologists have a name for this, action bias, the deep human instinct that when we don't know what to do, doing something feels safer than doing nothing. Even when doing nothing is the right answer. Even when the numbers scream that doing nothing is the right answer. Our brains would rather fail while trying than succeed while looking passive. So the goalkeeper dives, not because it works, but because if it fails, he can live with it. And if he stood still and it failed, he couldn't. And he knows the crowd couldn't either. And that's your hidden system. The reason 98% of goalkeepers pick the worst option isn't ignorance, it's fear. Fear of how failure will look. Fear that if he tries the smart thing and it goes wrong, he'll be blamed forever. So he picks the option that lets him be forgiven and quietly, in doing so, hands the striker a huge advantage. Every penalty shootout you've ever watched is a live demonstration of this. Two goalkeepers, both knowing the numbers, both trapped by the same instinct, both flinging themselves at guest corners while the middle of the goal sits empty like an open invitation. Tournaments are won and lost on this, careers are made and broken on this. And it is, at its heart, not a football problem. It's the oldest bug in the human mind playing out under floodlights. And the truly astonishing thing, even the keepers who know all of this and coach their whole lives around penalties still dive when the moment comes. Because it's easier to be beaten with your body in the air than with your feet on the ground. The next time you watch a shootout, watch it a little differently. Watch the moment before the shot. Watch the keeper decide. Look at the beautiful, athletic, doomed leap. He's not making a mistake because he doesn't know. He's making it because you're watching. And 100 years of football has never figured out how to solve that.